What's going on, guys? Today we are going to be painting the 7-inch shad glide bait from Barlow's tackle. One joint. These baits are pretty heavy and have a quick sink to them, so if you're looking for something that you're wanting to suspend, I don't think this one will work for you. But if you're fishing in a little bit of deeper water and want to get that bait down to those fish faster, perfect glide bait for that. Today what we're going to be doing is painting a shad pattern. Now, by painting a shad pattern, I really just mean me trying to hone in my skills on different types of shads. Now, a couple of colors and things we're going to be doing today I have done before, and I'm also going to be trying a couple of new things. With that being said, what we're going to do is start off with a nice base coat of white. I also wanted to point out to you guys that when you got a jointed bait like this one, sometimes it keeps wanting to move and flop around on you, even in the stand. So what I like to do is I'll stick a rubber band down inside the joint there, and it makes it a little bit more stiff, so it keeps the bait from flopping around. But what we're going to do first is do probably one layer, potentially two, of some opaque white and get a nice base coat of paint going here. And next color we're going to be using is a transparent medium gray. Game plan for the gray is we're going to cover the whole top of the bait in the medium gray, and then we're going to hopefully somewhere in this area fade it into that white. I don't want there to be a harsh transition. We're going to be covering all this gray and white with other colors, but I wanted the scales to be dark, or what I guess would be in between the scales. I wanted the base color to be dark. But I don't want a harsh transition from gray to white, so hopefully we can get a nice fade somewhere right in this area. I'm going to start on the back and get that all the way gray, and then we'll start working our way down the side of the bait. Okay, pretty decent fade. I'm going to bring this side down just a hair more. Alright, I'm going to call it good there. Going to clean out the airbrush so we can switch over to our next color. And I'm going to hit this really good with the hairdryer. And here is the part where we're trying something new. What I'm going to do is take this Wicked Colors highlight gold, and we're going to spray it over top of everything. I'm going to try to do a nice light layer in it, because obviously I don't want the gray to completely turn gold. But I know the gray looks good as scales in the background, but I was kind of hoping I could get them to reflect a little bit of the gold, like when the bait moves around. That way they're not just like a solid gray, and I don't want a solid white. So hoping this way the belly can be a little bit more of like a gold reflection, and then it'll be like a gray gold. So we'll see what happens. Worst case scenario, if I end up making the whole bait look gold, then we can just cover it back over with some more gray. All right, I think that actually looks pretty stinking good to me. I don't know how well it's translated onto the camera there, but definitely goes from white to gray, and the whole thing has a little bit of a gold shine to it. So I'm really happy with how that looks. I guess we can see what happens once we layer our other colors on there. Going to clean out the airbrush, of course, and then we're also going to hair dry this again really good, because next we're going to be putting a stencil on, and I don't want that beautiful color we just created to accidentally get scraped off there. All right, I think the scale texture I'm going to go for here is going to be this guy. You guys can see that okay. Just some netting. I kind of liked this one, but I think those lines are a little bit too thick, and I'm really wanting this gray that we just did, so I don't want the scales to be too bold is where I'm going with this, I guess. I think I got it pretty tight there. It's looking a little solid. The only spot is up here right by the eye, which pretty confident I'm gonna be darkening that up later, so if there's a little weird spot, I should be able to hide it pretty good. Okay, next color that we're going to be doing is a transparent sand. Game plan for the sand is the whole belly of the bait where that white and that highlight gold is. We're going to spray all that in the transparent sand, and then about the same area where we brought that gray down, we'll be doing a different color. So if the sand goes up a little bit higher than that, no big deal, but I am trying to do, this will be our top layer of paint, so I don't want there to be a real harsh transition. So we'll try to take our sand up from the belly and fade it right about into the same area. That way our other color can fade there too, and should make for a nice, clean, natural looking transition. And next we're going to come in with an iridescent yellow, and we're going to start this one at the top and work our way down towards the center, because we're going to be coming in with a turquoise here in a few, and we'll kind of let that turquoise cover and blend the two together. So taking the iridescent yellow from the top and working our way down. I'm going to go ahead and spray the rest of the tail. I've been kind of neglecting the tail, but we'll go ahead and spray the rest of it in this yellow. Alrighty, I think we're good there. And as I mentioned just a second ago, our next color is this iridescent turquoise. And we're going to try to keep this all towards the middle of the bait and kind of let the overspray blend into our sand and our iridescent yellow. Once we take the scales off, the netting off, I do want to spray some more up on the gill plate there. But for now, we're just going to try to keep it all in the middle area and going really light. I don't want a real bright, harsh turquoise. And we're going to go ahead and hit the tail a little bit. I think I'm going to hit it towards the top and kind of fade it into the little bit that's on there. All right, let's hair dry this and we'll see what we're working with. And I think we're done with our big main groups of colors here. So what I'm going to do when I pull this off or out of the netting, I'm going to go ahead and set it on our sponge, because there is a little bit of stencil work I'd like to do. Pretty clean, not too shabby, folks. And I think once that clear coat goes on, it'll help pull the top colors off of that gray and make it pop quite a bit. All right, and with our blue still loaded up in the brush, or our turquoise, I do want to go ahead and hit the gill plate area pretty good. Woo! Got away from me there. A little more than I wanted, but I guess we'll make this side match, huh? I think what I'm going to do is do like a real light dusting of this blue, since I accidentally went so heavy on that side when it had made that side match. The bass will never know. This is our secret. I think I'm going to do a little bit of that blue on the top there. I wasn't planning on that, but we'll see what that ends up looking like. And maybe we'll go a little heavier on the tail as well. Make it all blend. All right. Call it good there. And this is where things are going to get a little funky. So my area, or a lot of the guys that I give these baits to, like purple baits or a little purple highlight on their bait. Seems to be a bass favorite around here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take one of my stencils. If anybody's looking for some stencils similar to these are ones that I make here in my shop, and I have them available on my website if you want some. They're just made out of real thick, like cardstock like material, but they hold up pretty well as long as you don't drench them. And then, I mean, of course, over time, they will eventually fall apart, I guess. But what I'm going to do is take some iridescent violet, and we're going to, you know how a lot of the shads, their backs are like black, but then there's kind of like a tattered pattern that kind of comes down right up along the ridge here. That's what I'm going to do with the purple, and then we'll come back in and layer some black on top of it. But I wanted to get some of this purple on there, and I'm going to try to do it without getting carried away, because I really think these colors are going to look pretty magical later. I don't want to cover those with the violet. So I'm going to start right back in here somewhere. We're just going to add a couple speckles of the purple. So something about like that. I think it needs a few more. There we go. All right, I'm going to throw some of these up on the gill plate as well. And then we're going to throw some purple speckles. We're going to make sure the whole tail, top and bottom, are both covered in some of the purple. Alrighty, going to hit this with the hairdryer, and we'll flip it over and repeat the same thing on the other side. Alright, pretty solid. I think what I'm going to do is throw them back on our helping hands for a second. And then I want to make sure and hit the whole top of the back with it as well. With the purple, or violet. Keep calling it purple, but technically it's violet. Calling it good there with our violet. Okay, I think this is going to work. I'm wanting to add some black highlights to the gill plate, or a little bit of like shadowing or shading, whatever you want to call it. And I just got this piece of paper that I've cut before that I can kind of move it and make it work with me as I'm darkening up parts of the gill plate. So I'm going to go back on to our car sponge, and then I've got some transparent black loaded up in the airbrush. And we're gonna see if I can have some good trigger control today. I'm also going to turn my air pressure down. So actually, I think rather than darkening the edge of it, I want to darken the inside of it, if that makes sense. So I'm actually going to use this piece. It was a cutoff from something else I was doing. So I'm going to hold that right in here. Alright, gonna go ahead and darken up the eye socket as well. Pretty clean, helps a little bit. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that also right along the outside here. But it does bring the bait to life a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and darken up the nose. You can kind of see where the mouth is. I'm going to darken all that up. Okay, and now we are going to take that same stencil we were using earlier and add a handful of black spots, but I'm going to try to keep them right up here on the ridge of the bait. And of course the tail, keeping them up on the top half. I think I'm going to bring them, I said I was going to keep them up on the ridge. I think I'm going to kind of bring a couple right in this area to help tie the front of the bait into the back of the bait there.
Real light. There we go.
Not bad, not bad. Alright, we're going to, I guess, repeat everything we just did on the other side. Alright, then we're going to go ahead and throw them on our helping hands, just like we did earlier, to do the back of the bait. Looking pretty clean. I think, see how well this will focus for you guys here. I think this is giving me an idea. I think I want to do a whole bait where we just use that stencil to put all of our layers of paint on. I mean, you do like your base colors, but then, you know, do real light stencil work down here and just keep layering it, because that up top looks incredibly awesome. Kind of makes the side of it look boring if I'm being honest, but like I said, We're practicing and perfecting. Next thing we gotta do is a big juicy shad dot, which I think for this one, let's see, might do that. Real big one. Let's see. Actually, I think we're gonna do this big one with that. It's got those two little nubs at the end of it there. So here's where we're at so far. What I'm thinking about doing, which just wasn't initially my plan, I'm thinking about bringing that purple back out, or that violet, and bringing it down the side of the bait. The back looks so cool to me right now, and the side's so bland. And so, hey, why not? So I'm gonna clean the black out of the airbrush. Actually, we're gonna clean the black out of the airbrush and then add more purple on the side of the bait. This wasn't initially part of the plan here, but I think it'd be a shame to not see what it looks like if there's more of these speckles further down. And I think keeping them the violet, it won't affect doing our shad dot in black. Yep, I think that was a good call, folks. Good call. And we're gonna go ahead and do them really, really lightly down here. Yep, glad I did that. All right. All right. I'm gonna bring the black back and we're gonna do our shad dot, and then now that we carried the purple or the violet all the way down, I might bring some of that black a little further down. But I want to do the shad dot first because I really want that to be the target or the bullseye for this bait. But I think we have enough room now that we can bring those black speckles down just a hair. Okay, switching colors. So I was going to do this one that had those two extra little pieces, but I think if we bring these other black speckles down, that's just going to blend anyways, and I really want the shad dot to stand out. So we're going to go with the biggest one I got, which is that guy right there. And I'm going to go ahead and bring it, let's see, right there, I think. I always feel like it should be higher, but then every time I'm done spraying, I think I put it too high. So I'm gonna go right there. Look at that. And I definitely think there's enough room on this bait that we can add a couple more black ones. Carry those down a little bit, but keeping it very, very, very light. Gonna go ahead and add some black ones on the gill plate. I'm liking it. All right. All right, we're gonna call it right there. Very last thing I'm gonna do is darken the back just a hair. That way there's still a transition from the top to the side. Just like that, but you can still kind of see the stencils through it. Okay, time to pick out some eyes for this creation we have made. Alright, I think I got the eyes situation figured out here. Remember how I said way back when that I thought that blue might have been too much up there on the gill plate? What we're gonna do now is tip our hat to the happy mistake, because I think that blue looks great. And I really want to do another bait that's got that blue line that runs all the way down the center of the bait. I think that would look really sharp. So what we're gonna do is add some crazy blue eyes, which I grabbed ones that were too big. Hopefully these other ones fit. Yep, there we go. Got these crazy looking blue ones. That way I may never forget that that's not what I meant to do. But it turned out that it actually, in my opinion, made the bait look way, way better. So there. Some crazy, crazy blue eyes. All right, flipping it over, and we'll put the eye over on the other side. And there we have it. One pretty crazy looking bait. I really like it though. Hopefully when that clear coat goes on, it'll make all of those colors pop. I think it will. So what I'm going to do then is probably set this one off to the side and immediately paint another one that's got more blue. But you can still see it whenever the light hits it. You can see our little bit of blue we added. I just think that would look cool if it was like electric blue up in here and that went all the way down the side of the bait. So we'll see what happens. I think this one though, I'm gonna leave it how she is, let it dry, and then I will add some clear coat to it, and then we'll come back and take a look at what it looks like all finished up.